Poetry night is a beautiful thing to witness, so thank you all for coming. My name is Courtney Terry. I work at the public library here in McMinnville, and we partner every month on the first Thursday at 6 p.m. with Dan and Nancy, owners of the gallery at 10 Oaks, to hold these poetry nights. And then in I'm going on now because I'm so excited. I actually have poets set up for like at least 5 months now. So I can say like November, December. In January, we're actually going to be featuring Diane Forsberg, and Joel Zach, who did a reading last year. You may remember they have a poetry photo book that they created. They did a really amazing presentation of that. They are coming out with a new book. It's actually coming out next month, but they'll be here in the first Thursday in January to do a joint reading following that. And then Danielle will be back in February. April, William Stafford's son, Kim.
Oh, I thought maybe this was a Halloween.
So I will just go ahead and get started. There are books for purchase over here. Please take a look. There's a sample copy you can look through. But so tonight we have 2 returning artists, Joel Zach and Diane Forsberg, who are, they were here last year with their Never Solitary, and now they have an accompaniment.
The second in the series.
Continuing on with Colette, Tennant, who is here. And so we'll just go ahead. It's a little bit different than our normal poetry night tonight in terms of the presentation. And then we'll open up for our open mic afterwards. There is a sign-up sheet. It is in that room. There is an alpaca pen. That was a Christmas present. I'd like it back. But otherwise, please sign up to read. And without further ado, thank you.
And thank you for putting us on. This poetry night is amazing.
Welcome.
And thanks to the Poetry Club for having us here and letting us come and read a little bit out of our book. And of course to Dan and Nancy for hosting and retelling. This is the second book in the series. The first one, of course, she said was Never Solitary. And that one was a collaboration between myself and Joel, Zach, and Eleanor Berry. This one is a collaboration, the second one, between myself, Diane Forsberg, I write the prayers, Colette, Tennant, who writes beautiful poetry and was gracious enough to say yes when I asked her. And of course, Joel Zach's stunning images that go along with it. The intent of this book is really not to push any kind of spiritual or religious anything. But it is, its intent is to inspire a conversation between yourself and whoever you deem your higher power. Just open up a conversation. When I thought I was ready to actually write these books, actually, I was trying to decide what they were going to be, and I knew that I wanted them to be real.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for hosting this. I was just really thrilled when Diane asked me because what I've kind of noticed for years now is how art begets art, other art. So one form of art inspires another form of art. We just had a radio show last Friday, and I talked about how one of the things I do out at Corbin University where I teach is we put on a fusion art show every year. So we start with a poem, and then I put a call out to the student body who wants to interpret that poem as a painting, who wants to interpret it as a photograph. And then we'll come up with a book and a whole gallery show and reading and everything. And really what we're doing here is, all of our work is talking to each other in this book. And all of our pieces would be a little lonelier without the image, and the prayer and the poem together. So I think they're stronger braided together throughout the book. So, Joe?
Well, images are easy in my opinion, as opposed to writing poetry, and certainly as opposed to writing prayers. Prayers are extremely personal, and so I'm not shouting enough. How's that? Is that better? Okay. As I was saying, poetry is extremely personal. Prayers, by contrast, are exceptionally personal. And to have both of those come together and then be supported by images was an absolute joy to me. Because oftentimes, my inclination is to listen to music when it comes to in the dark of a winter's evening and whatnot. You're not out there amongst the landscape, amongst the graphics of the city and that sort of thing. Music for me is oftentimes my approach to gaining inspiration. It's not poetry, and it's typically, of course, not prayers. So this has been a wonderful learning experience as well for me, both in the first book, Never Solitary, and now, of course, in Stages.
Okay. We're going to read 3, I believe. Actually, Colette's going to read 4, and I'm going to read 3. And the first one is, her poem is called First Grade Coat. I just label mine Dear God or Dear Father, so I'm just going to tell you about it with the poetry names. And this one, I don't think I need to introduce. I'll just start. Hello, God. I seem to be struggling with myself. I've made goals for myself just for me, to be a better me, and now it seems as if I can't get out of that favorite old coat. I still love that old coat. It's warm and familiar and comfortable, but it just doesn't fit anymore. And the color is one that I just don't wear. I want to let it go. Who knew it'd be such a challenge to thank it for all it's done for me and send it on its way and put on something new? Sometimes I question why I made these goals in the first place, but I know in my heart there's a better plan for my time here. You've shown me that. Time to see what that something new is. My heart is open.
One thing that amazes me about this project is I already had this poem written, and Diane already had that prayer written when we got together to try to match up things, and they go together so much. It seems like one of us is responding to the other one's work, but they already were both there, so that's kind of amazing. First grade coat. Black with white fur collar and cuffs. It had 4 silver buttons, puffy as full moons. I don't know where I left it, on the bus or on the playground where we took turns of hopscotch, fingering rocks in our satin pockets. I don't know if another girl liked it and took it home, or if foxes managed to pull my pretty black coat into the woods to line their den. I just know the next day, with heavy Midwest snow frosting my window, I had another coat. I remember it didn't have full moon buttons or white fur, but it kept me warm all the way to school. Most of what I've learned in life has been like that.
Okay, the second one is called Praise, and for mine, I don't know about you, but sometimes I tell myself I'm going to do something and I get on track and then, I don't know, it just goes away. I don't know what. That's what this appears here about. How do I get back on track? I really struggle with staying constant. I do really well for a while and then I jump the track. I mean, I don't even know where that track went. What is making me do this? I feel so conflicted at times that I can't remember what it was that I wanted to do, or say, or be. Where did my focus go? Where did my mind go? It's scared. I'd love it if you'd show me. These small words, please.
I think we human beings have a hard time just paying attention in the present. So this is my poem called Pricks. Say a quiet word to the cat when you wake in the dark house before the lights get loud. Say good morning to your sculpin fears hiding within the rocks. Say hello before they dash beneath the shadows. Say good evening to the fireflies darting in the jar. Say a word to them. To the geese working toward a place of greater warmth. Say goodbye without hesitation.
This next one is called Undercut. This one is about being too close to the group, that sometimes you want to just get away from it. And that's what this one's about. Dear God, sometimes I feel like I blend too much, like I'm part of a flock of birds always on the move, flying this way and that, always together. I try to move away, try something new, but the flocks follow, more comfortable making the same moves. It's frustrating when I try to do this, move away I mean. Make my own path, but others follow. Intimidated, sucking energy, thoughtless as if to say, we are just not enough on our own. Help me, Lord, to stop being mad and wishing them gone. Show me humility and love, because I'm sure I do the same. All my love.
Well, I think women have a problem, especially with "we're just not enough," that line that you just read. And one of the things I just learned the other day from Diane is how her creating these books was part of what took her years to overcome being silenced, starting with her brothers when she was young. So, you know, I salute her so much for that victory, really, with these books. So my poem's called Undercut. And yes, I was mad at my husband when I wrote this poem. All the middle-aged women I know, unless blessed with thick hair, have the same haircut. It's called an undercut. With it, our hair turns under, inward, like the folded hands of obedient children. We wander, orderless monks, offered no absolution, no incense, no candlelight, no silence. Only whispers, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. Oh, yeah, sure. And then the book ends with a little poem I wrote years ago called A Scherzo of Stars, and it has a little epigraph from Philippians, in which you shine like stars in the universe. In tide pools, stars the color of pomegranates cling to the same rock, to the same ledge on the cliff. Their chapter and verse appetites, satisfied, satisfied, satisfied. While their brilliant sisters swing through the night, performers who have put the score away, free now to glory, glory, glory in the song.
Well, that is about it. Is there any questions you'd like to ask us or comments?
I have a question.
Nancy?
You mentioned this was the next in a series. What is the series?
The series is Never Solitary, actually. The first book is Never Solitary. The second book is Stages, and it's kind of a progression of being all wrapped up in all these problems and then kind of working through them. The first one was the real stuff that I didn't want to do. And the second one is working through it. And the third one will be called Never Solitary. But I don't have a name for it yet.
On the cover.
Thank you.
just like it's an obstacle course. All right. She is beauty, she is grace. We have, just before I say, is there anyone who would like to add their name to the sign-up sheet?
This is called Stormy Weather, and it has a little bit more to do with politics than weather. Stormy clouds spread across a Mount Rushmore sky. Our umbrellas blown inside out, while rain promised to hide everyone's tears under inky shadows cast down by the downcast eyes of George and Anne. Stormy winds blew trash and old newspapers across the parking lot with stories stranger than fiction, too much information about a pricey piece of pie sold to a high-rise guy. The stormy pages of history will likely be unkind to Mr. Dazed and Confused, whose loose screws, fake news, muddy shoes, and coiffure of strange hues just keep giving everyone the blues.
Oh.
Today's forecast calls for more stormy blasts from that loud squawking bird with a large orange crest, pecking at the top of every cocktail dress, and look for torn corners of our Constitution to crack off, falling like echoes from a canyon wall as the ink dries out and fades away.
Thank you, Bruce. Patrick?
I've been working with wood all day, so I'll try not to spit.
I didn't get that connection.
A little bit of sawdust.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of
Oh,
sawdust.
okay.
This is called What She Tells Me. She tells me her beauty is a wart, cratered, scabbed. It both repels and fascinates, draws light, casts shadows over her waking hours, as if dawn is no relief but a time to cower, to shield her skin and shut her eyes, leave the fast unbroken, and the day to find other amusements. She tells me she blooms in the night, where dreams forgive the body that rides against her, where she escapes flesh that has no care for consequence. Give her choice, she tells me, and she'll run from the prize she was born to, cast off the cruel gift and run. This is not bad weather, the leaving. This he plots, to open his eyes one morning, throw off his coat and shake the night from his jeans, take his place at the table and grunt at his mother. She'll pour milk for him, fry his eggs the way he likes, spread butter on his toast, and he'll leave without telling. Shut the door while she scrapes the dishes and hums show tunes, scuff off the porch and kick the last step back into place one more time, as if he doesn't know how to use a hammer. What does the future care about a loose board, about putting one foot before the other, or the worry a mother spins on dinner, spearing the lamb chops with garlic, scrubbing the dwarf potatoes she's grown, the ones that look like stunted pricks. How she blushes when he says that, but can't stop laughing, fanning her throat with a towel. The rain drums on the sill. November's wind smears the yard from here to there. Hell, she shouldn't have to carry the firewood this winter. She can, but she shouldn't have to. Pitch on her hands, bark in the pockets of her apron. Only the two of them since he was 8. A little man and his mother finding their way, learning how to patch the roof, climb the well. Who would they be if he'd had a father to turn him out? Doesn't matter. Comfort keeps him near the wood stove, warming his hands before he ventures out to feed the horse. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in the spring when he's not fighting so hard just to breathe, imagining her without him, imagining himself without her, the rhythms of their days. Then he'll go. Going he can imagine, but leaving he'll put off. He feeds wood into the stove, pokes at the coals as if the flames need prodding to do their job, as if a fire doesn't know what or how to burn.
Thanks, Patrick. Mike?
two poems from our last impromptu poetry night, or poetry night at where somebody came in who had a baby goat. And they wanted a poem about their goat. And they said the goat was orphaned. They didn't really know who the goat belonged to. So here's my poem about whose baby goat are you? I know I don't know my dad, who my dad is, but I know my mom. He may love me, I hope he does. My mom loves me. She keeps me warm and protects me from the mean goose who attacks me in our drafty barn. When I grow up, I'll miss never knowing my dad. I wonder if he's old Stinky Jim or Sweet Bart the Gimp. My mom's family never liked them, so I'm my mom's kid. So here's another one where they came in and they wanted, she said, flow of flowers, that's what the flow of color. It's like, how do you write a poem about the flow of color? Double rainbows arch from the mountain to field. In front of the dark cauldron of a storm, rambling in from the Pacific, white flashes dance across the sky, dangerous voices call deep into the darkness. Next to the orange flicker of the fire, we wrap in warm blue blankets. We feel each other's warmth, our hearts calm against the unrelenting wind. Rain starts slow, fat drop after fat drop. Our laughter echoes as we scramble to stretch the green tarp over our heads. The rainbow fades into the night, campfire grays to ashes. With soft embers at its center, we watch the flow of color move away to the east.
Thanks, Mike. And Lucy.
I went to a poetry workshop lately where we were asked to write an ode to something from our past. So mine is titled Ode to Woolworths. Oh, Woolworths of my childhood, the red sign with the gold lettering out front, creaky wooden floors, counters with glass dividers keeping the licorice from the lemon drops. I got a dime from my mother to buy anything I wanted. Paper dolls to cut out, a bag of marbles, a tin paint box full of watercolors. You could wander the aisles fulfilling every dream. The air smelled of popcorn and roasted cashews. Maybe you would go home with a turtle or a goldfish. Grandmother took me to Woolworths to pick out yarn when she taught me to knit, and multicolored embroidery floss to learn cross-stitch. Later, closing in on adolescence, I prowled the cosmetics aisle with my friends, choosing our first lipsticks, the cake of Maybelline mascara in the red plastic case that you had to spit into and whirl a brush around it to apply. The evening in Paris cologne we thought was so elegant. We felt like we belonged there, our purses full of coin, sitting at the counter, sipping Cokes through soggy paper straws. Oh, Woolworths, how we took you for granted, assuming you would always be there. One day you were gone, and we hardly noticed, our lives speeding along onto the internet, onto Amazon, to Walmart. Where can we go now when we need a spool of thread, malted milk balls by the pound, a grilled cheese sandwich on white bread? Only into the fantasies of the past, the small consolations of nostalgia, all that's left of the emporium of our dreams.
Thanks, Lucy.
Patricia.
Patricia, hi. Patricia, come on in. And then was there anyone else who wanted to leave?
Okay, I think I've been watching too many scary TV shows here, but anxiety dream number 1. I'm walking up a country road. To my left, a lopsided mailbox held together with blue baling twine. The sound of gunfire close by, rapid, repeat. Bam, 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 bam. Nobody in sight. I head down a driveway towards a gate. A white pickup truck is parked sideways on the drive, and large stickers fill the back window, but I can't make out their meaning. As I approach the gate, a large dog rushes it, leaping, barking, snarling. The sound of shooting stops. There's a quiet pause. Then I hear shouts and the sound of an engine starting. It is heading my way.
Sorry.
You're gonna have to tell me what TV show. Jean, did you want to be? Great.
Well, my name is Jean, and this is an ode to the dog.
Can you step a little closer to the microphone? There we go.
Ode to Audrey. There must be a place in heaven for the gentlest creature I have ever known, for ready obedience despite your pain, for soft brown eyes that glistened love, patient endurance of being restrained in teepees, playhouse, tied to wagons, so faithful and forgiving. Ever watchful over us, concerned about our troubles, hurts, eager to look away the tears as if he were our mother. There must be a place with a couch of your own and biscuits in your where you will remember our love and respect, scampering through open meadows unhindered by pain, joyfully into the arms of your maker.
Thank you, Jean. Is there anyone else that wanted to share? I will say, for anyone interested, we have a poetry contest in Yamhill County. It's Paper Gardens. There are multiple categories for poetry, for adults and for kids, if you know any creative small poets in your life. And the deadline is March 1st. And how much is it an entry? 5? 10?
10 for adult.
And $10 poem entry. And then you have a party where people read. So, Paper Gardens, March 1st deadline. Okay. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Diane, Colette, and Joel for sharing the books. Please take a look at the books. They are for sale here. And we will see you next first Thursday in February. I am waiting for Nancy to bring up her calendar. The 7th?
Yes, it's late, yes.
Oh, it's the 7th, okay. I never know what the first Thursday of the month is. So we'll be here next month, 6 o'clock, February 7th, and the poet we are having was actually the one that was, she had to cancel back in October. Her name's Danielle Cadena-Duellin, and so she will be here next month at this time. But thank you all, Happy New Year, and thank you for coming.